So anyway, so let's get started with creating a widget list component, a container, and trying to feed it a list of widgets to get started. All right, so let's do that. Let's see. Let's see. We have no, that's not it. Whiteboard. There we go. So let's first create a widget list. So this widget list might look something like this. So this is a widget list component. So widget list component. And this might look something like this, where you have import React from React. Yes? And you have a constant widget list that takes as argument some list of widgets, which we then want to render, right? So this might look something like UL, and this where this is maybe a list group, and then we want to iterate over this. This would be something like widgets.map, and here we have maybe the widgets themselves and the index, so that this renders as a bunch of LIs, line items, with a key of index, and then the class as list group item, and then maybe the widget title. Okay? All right, so this just will render just as a simple list of widgets. Okay? All right, excellent. So where would this render? Let's export this. This will be export default, and this will be widget list. There we go. So this needs to render where? This needs to render in our course editor. In our course editor, what we have here is what? We have the module list, lesson tabs, and topics. Right down below here, right now we have this. Right down below here, we want to render the widget list. That's not it. Where are you grabbing widget list from? Do I have widget list somewhere? Wait a minute. What did I call it? Did I call it right? Oh, yeah. I called it widget list. I should have called it widget list component. Computers are always right. All right, there we go. So let's do a BR here. And then let's do a widget list component. There we go. So right now it's down below here. Maybe not. It's trying to iterate over a list of widgets that doesn't exist. All right, so let's provide it with a list of widgets. Let's see. We could say widgets. It's an array of widgets with a title widget 1. Oops. So widget list 2 and 3, 2 and 3. There they are, right? So it renders as a list. Notice that I'm passing a hard-coded array JSON object, right? And I'm iterating over it. And it's receiving it as a property called widgets, right? So that this widget is an array, right? Which I'm just iterating over. Are we okay? But what we want to do is to have the reducer provide that property. Yes? Right? So let's create a reducer. Let's create the reducer. So that the reducer might look as follows. Let's create here an array, a directory for reducers. And in the reducers, let's create the widgets reducer. So this is widgets. And this will be constant widgets. And this will be a function that right now, let's have it return widgets, right? And return exactly what we just did here, this array of widgets. Well, let's take this array of widgets just like that. Okay? Right? There we go. So it's going to return, this is returning a JSON object, a hard-coded JSON object, which is the current state, right? The only state right now, which has a property widget of that array. Okay? And just to make sure that, that this is going to render differently, I'm just going to change the titles of the widgets so that we know we were successful, hopefully. All right, excellent. So let's see that. Let's look at that. So how do we connect the reducer and the component? We need a container. The container is going to do the mapping between the state generated by the reducer and the properties. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create a container here. So this will be the widget list container, right? And we already know what goes in here. We'll need to import React from React. We'll also need the connect function from where? From the React. Oops. Uh-oh. I guess we don't have Redux. I don't think we ever. I don't think we installed Redux, did we? Probably not. So let's do that. Let's first install Redux. How's that? npm install Redux. Save. Let's do that. And let's also install React Redux, right? So let's do npm install React Redux. Save. So it installed both libraries. Meanwhile, while that's happening, let's import. Let's see, connect. We'll need to connect from where? From React. I don't think it's done. React Redux. I don't think, is it done? Right. React Redux, there it is. What else do we need? We need the actual component, right? So let's add that. We'll need the component. That will be, what is it? Widget list component. From, let's see, we'll need to go up one, down to components, and down to widget list component. All right, now we'll need the mapping, right? Which will map from where? Will map from here, this state property. We'll map it to this widget property. Okay, so let's do that. So this will be our function that does the mapping. So state to property mapper. The name of this function is inconsequential. It doesn't matter what you call it. Right? Call it something that makes sense to you. Right? That's exactly what it's doing. It's mapping state to property. So it takes the state and it calculates a JSON object that tells me that this property, this component property, should be taken from the state's widgets. Okay? Right, so it's mapping this to that. Okay? All right, we got that. Now we have to connect. We have to say const widget list container is equal to the connect function that is going to connect the state property mapper, state property mapper, and it's going to connect to the component, the widget list component. And we're going to export this. Export default to the widget list container so we can use it. Where do we use it? We're going to use it in the course editor. The course editor is going to try and render this, right, and provide it a store. Yes? So let's do that. Let's go back to the course editor. In the course editor, instead of this list component, we need to generate a store, create a provider, and then provide that store to the container. The container will then map from the state to the property. Yes? All right. So let's let's load what we need here. We'll need the store. I'm sorry, we'll need the reducer. So widgets from where? From the reducer. So up, down to reducers and the widgets. There we go. We'll need, what else do we need? We'll need the container, right? So let's grab the widget list container from. We'll need to go up to the container. Containers. Widget list container. There we go. What else do we need? We'll need the create store, right? From Redux, and we'll need the provider. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's import create store from Redux, and we'll need the provider, right? From where? From React Redux, right? So let's create the store. So constant the store is equal to the create store, and pass it the reducer. Now that we have the store, we need to provide this store to the container. So let's do that here where we want it rendered. So I'm going to remove the widget list component. I'm going to comment that out. And I'm going to create the provider. The store will be our store. And we're going to provide it to our container, to our widget list container. Everybody okay? All right, let's go back to the rendering. Let's see if this, it didn't work. Do we need to recap? Let's start it again. npm start. npm start. Let's see what we broke. We might have broken something. Let's see. Create store. Store widgets. It's not very helpful. Const store. Let's see. Probably I forgot to export something. Let's see. Yeah, we never exported this reducer. Let's export this. So let's do export, default, widgets. There we go. Compiled it. There it is. Right? Notice that W111, 222, 333 are coming from where? From our hard-coded list of widgets. You see that? Right? So whatever I change this to, right? You know, AAA or BBB or CC, right? It'll change to whatever state that comes.